Hey Jonathan, welcome to the MasterCard Cup. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your dress position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your dress position, let's first of all just take a look at your setup. We can see your spine's nice and straight and on a tilt. Legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Your arms hang down off your tilted spine and the club works out to the golf ball. So you're achieving reasonably good posture here in association with good balance. If I were going to work on your golf game, I would revise this a little and we would get you into a little bit more of an upright spinal position. We'll keep your legs in the exact same position that they are currently in. Let the arms hang down and slightly in front of you from there, and then let the golf club work out to the ball. So changing your posture from sort of this red position where your spine is angled too far forward, putting your sternum and your head, your center of gravity, a little bit too much out over your toes, causing your weight distribution to be a little bit more towards the ball. We would obviously revise and just get you into a little bit of a taller position, changing that spinal axis a little bit, and that'll change your weight distribution and hopefully prevent you from losing your balance at some points during your golf swing. From here, we can go ahead and take a look at your alignment now. We can see that your feet are set up a little bit closed, aiming out to the right. Carry that out towards the fairway. Now theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel. Your feet parallel lines on camera will have an appearance to converge. And even with that scenario, we can see that you're sort of set up just on the inside of that tree line, heading towards the right rough outside of the right side of the fairway. So we're going to see some form of a compensation, obviously, whereby we're going to be trying to get that ball back to the center of the fairway. And we'll be able to observe this in a few minutes here. Let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison between you and Jordan Spieth. I've got some color-coded lines up on the screen just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. But before we go ahead and take a look at your dynamic move, let's just refer back to the posture. We can see with Jordan, obviously, his spine is straight like yours, but like I was saying, it's more vertical. And when the spine gets in that position, it's going to obviously, move your head up and out of that position as well. Everything else looks really great. From here, we take a look at the swing motion. Simply want to draw the golf club back by creating good shoulder rotation, bring the arms and hands back as well as the club. Want to see the club coming back along the red line on plane. We'll also want to establish good wrist hinge early on in the golf swing, where we're going to transition the club head currently from being below and in front of our hands to getting that club head above and behind. Very important move in the backswing. From here, we now want to work the golf club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. And when we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we either want to have the left arm of the club situated on the yellow line in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically up on blue, as we can see with Jordan Spieth. We also want to create full shoulder rotation, and we want to do this about a very stable right leg, all the while creating this turn about the posture and the spinal axis we achieved at address. And that's why that posture position's so important. Let's go ahead and watch you initiate your takeaway. You draw your hands back very, very nicely, turning your shoulders, and the club's coming back on a perfect swing plane at this point in time. Everything looks really, really good. Right about here, we've got to start to see some wrist hinge into play. We've got to see the club head working above and getting behind the hands. So let's go to the next frame. So that's a good job right there. Let it fall back, so very nice. As we continue to work this golf club up to the top of the backswing, everything's looking really, really good here. We get maybe a little bit of run on there, but not too bad. So we have really good shoulder rotation, stable right side, maintaining the posture axis we created at address, which again I stated I think was tilted over a little too far, and I'll prove that in just a few seconds here. Your arm geometry stays in pretty good position relative to your core. Left arm's in good position, club's in pretty decent position as well. Could use a little bit of refinement in the arms in the golf club, but I mean, you're in a good enough position that you should still be able to come in the ball reasonably well. As we create our transition back into the golf shot, simply now want to take our weight from our right side, move it to the left. We want to fire the knees and the hips laterally to the target, unwind the core, and fire the hands. And in doing so, we got to bring the golf club from that blue-yellow V zone, wherever we set it, and get that golf club to return back to plane. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club has returned back to the red line. The other thing I want to point out at this stage of the golf swing is the relationship between the lead form and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark. It simply means the club head right now is remaining above and behind our hands coming into the hitting zone. This is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in the golf swing. Aside from the fact that he's also going to hit the ball straight due to the fact that the club has returned back to plane, which we already pointed out. And this is a main criteria in producing straight golf shots. Now, the one thing I want you to note is this pre-impact position that is really the most important aspect of a golf swing. What we're going to notice is that position is pretty much exactly the same as the position we created when we created our hinge. So here we are at address, we come back with our turn, we create our hinge, getting the club head above and behind the hands, and what do we see? That club is in the exact same position. So ultimately all we're trying to do is get that club to the top and then return right back to there. And when we can do that, well, guess what? We're going to hit the ball really straight and really far. Let's go ahead and watch your transition back into the ball here. Excellent dropping of your hands and arms right there. That's a great job. Feet and knees are working. Let's get you to pre-impact here and see where you are. Go one more frame maybe. Okay, so let's go back and let's take a look at your lead form and your golf club. So we have your backwards check mark. So creating some power in your golf swing is not going to be an issue. The problem right now is the club is not returned close enough back to plane, and the other issue is that the club shaft right now is too steep pre-impact. So your club shaft sitting here coming in the ball about 52 degrees when his is about 32, 33. Okay? So we have a different shaft angle. When the club shaft comes in steep, we're obviously trying to make some form of compensation here. Well, your compensation is that we had stipulated you're aimed out to the right, so you got to somehow get this ball back to the left. So what you're going to ultimately be doing here is you're going to be attacking the ball a little bit from out to in, and that's why that club shaft is in a steep position. If you had that club head more down on red right now, the club would come in from on plane better. That now gives us opportunity to hit the ball straight, but in accordance to our alignment. Unfortunately, your alignment's too far out to the right, so if that club was on plane, you'd hit the ball straight, but you'd hit it way out to the right where you're aimed, assuming, again, that club face squares up. So at this point in time, seeing that we've made a little compensation over the top here, seeing that the golf club is not shallow enough, and observing this club head, we can go ahead and track this club head coming into the ball now, and go to the next frame and see where it goes. So, sorry, I want to do that in a thicker line here. There we go. So let's go to the next frame. Yeah, so it's right there. So you're still in a really good position because the club head's above and behind your hands. Because you're athletic, you're really fighting to try and get this golf club back on plane, and you've done a really, really good job here. But at the end of the day, again, it still has not returned back to plane. So you are coming into the ball too steep, which will still give you the ability now to pull the ball. Let's go to the next frame. So there we are. Okay? So the club is outside the ball. So if we just connect these dots, we can get a pretty good visual as to the slight steepness of the downswing, which is your compensation to pull the ball back to the left. Because again, we can see with Jordan Spieth, that golf club returned back to plane here, and it attacks the ball from the red line. So because he does this, like I said, he's going to be able to hit the ball straight in accordance to his alignment, lastly assuming the club face squares up via having a good grip. So at this point in time, seeing that the downswing planes are just slightly different, we can go ahead and take a look now at the physical path of the club. So there's this club inside the ball. It expands out to make contact. It moves through on a nice natural subtle arc. He's going to hit the ball straight in accordance to his alignment, assuming that everything comes together because his grip is good and the club face squares up. Your club is outside the ball. It's going to now swing down and across the ball. So there we go. So very simply put, you have the ability now to pull the golf ball back to the left. Well, we had already stipulated that the center of the fairway is obviously over here. So that's your compensation. You're trying to pull the ball back to the center of the fairway because you were aimed too far out to the right. So if the compensation and the timing all lines up, there won't be an issue. You'll hit what I refer to is a pull straight shot, or a subtle pull draw, or a subtle pull fade. So there's a lot of variances there depending on what that club face does with that out to in path. So that ball can either stay on the red line, or we might get just a little bit of a pull draw. Nothing that's really going to hurt you, just going to get to the left side of the fairway. Or a subtle pull fade. Again, nothing that's going to hurt you, just going to get to the right side of the fairway. But if we over-release the club to the red path, what ends up happening now is you hit pull draws or pull hooks. If you leave the club face too open to the same path, now you hit some form of more of a pull slice, and we lose the ball too far right. Okay? So the end result of your golf shot is dictated based on the timing of the club face. Because the club is coming in a little steep and from out to in, swing along the red path, over-release the club follows blue. Under-release the club follows yellow. And if we time it properly, like I said, we'll hit what I refer to as a pull straight shot, or a subtle pull draw, or a subtle pull fade. At point of impact, want to take a look at your right heel. This looks good. Let's just watch you move through the golf shot, see your footwork. Look at your left heel. See how your left heel's off the ground? So you're losing your balance. And you're losing your balance because, let's go back to your starting position. I stipulated that your sternum and your head were too far out over your toes. That's displacing too much weight forward. So you're losing your balance here a little bit as you're coming through. So what you want to learn to do is learn, as we see with Jordan, get up on the toe of the right foot. Look at his left toes. They curl off the ground. That gets his weight into his left heel. So by getting up on the toe of the right foot, that'll displace all the weight on the left side. But if we curl the left toes, we will stay balanced on our feet and we won't fall over. So his weight's in his heels, your weight's on your toes, and this is why you're obviously fighting and to prevent yourself from falling over this way. Not to mention your sternum and your head were already there displacing weight there. And not to mention we're swinging a little over the top trying to pull the ball left, which is also distributing more weight out in front of you. Okay? So at this point in time, two more things I want to take a look at. I do want to take a look at the club face position with this subtle out to in path and just see what you actually did with the club face. So it looks like the club face did a good job timing wise. So we are pulling the ball back to the left, and like I said, depending on how much it released or under released will dictate how much that ball either moves left or moves right, or stays fairly straight as a pull straight shot. Okay? Next thing I really want to look at though stems back to your posture. Let's go back to the top of your backswing. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to mark your head. I want to pay attention more to the forehead and the chin. And I'm going to go ahead and mark your spine. So because you started in a position, let's undo that, just making a straight line. Because you started in a position with your posture that I felt was too angled forward, I think what's going to happen here is you move to impact, you're going to pull up into the position I wanted you to start in. So let's go ahead and watch your transition of the ball. Let's pay attention to the spine and the head. Does the spine straighten and the head pull out of the box? Yeah, it certainly does. Okay? So I knew that was going to happen due to the fact that I wanted you to start in a different position. So let's look at this. Let's mark your spine now at 59 degrees. And let's mark your head, your forehead. Oops, sorry, undo that. Let's mark the forehead and the chin like we did previously. Okay, so sort of there. Let's go back to address. Okay? So there's the change I wanted you to make. So all I want you to do here, stand a little closer to the ball, stand up a little bit. That'll change your spinal position from yellow to red, and it'll change your head position. Now you can go ahead and create your entire motion upon an axis that will not fluctuate up and down. So when you move to it, when you come back, you'll still be spine on red, head in red. When you come into the ball, you now won't have to move from yellow to red. You'll already be in red. Okay? So unfortunately, you're moving in the ball almost like a batter who checks his swing. We pull up, we're confused by that inside pitch, and you're getting a bit jammed. Okay? You're super athletic in your golf swing, and you can't have these elevation changes in your swing. And then when it really comes down to it, to have consistency, we need three things. We have to aim well. We have to bring the club down on plane in order to hit the ball in accordance to that alignment, and we have to square the face up. Unfortunately, you're aiming too far right. It's causing you a compensation to swing the golf club over the top. Because of that, you're now attacking the ball from out to in, trying to pull the ball left, or maybe even also flipping the hands. And at that point in time, we're really compensating with the club face. So unfortunately, you're missing all three criteria that is required to be consistent and hit straight golf shots. Our alignment's right, we're not on plane, we're a little over the top, and at that point in time, we're compensating with the club face. So if you're able to just tweak your alignment up, get yourself running parallel left to your target, learn how to bring this golf club down on plane, at that point in time, just make sure the grip is good, club face squares up, you'll become a super consistent ball striker, and then also associate better posture, get you a little bit taller. Now we can rotate on an axis that has no elevation change, tweak up that finish so the weight gets in your heel, and I tell you what, you'll hit nothing but straight golf shots and be very, very consistent, and won't have those left to right variances based solely on what you do with your hands through impact right now. Over release it, it's going left. Under release it, it's going right. And if you time it okay, you're obviously going to find your intended target because your golf swing is fabulous. Okay? Anyways, if at any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects and fine-tune your golf game, I'm located over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. Be happy to structure a little program for you. Also, if you're involved with any golf tournaments at all, you guys are looking for a unique gift to provide your guests, feel free to reach out. Be happy to discuss my swing analysis services. Anyways, I hope you had a fabulous day, and I hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video. Take care.